You Christmas jumper. I wanted today just to talk about some research that I'm doing for a future film, but I think it's so interesting that you need to hear it now, and that's about biology and cryptoid creatures, whether there was actually a military research program in Suffolk into the known sightings of cryptoid creatures. The people have seen praying mantis creatures 6 or 7 foot high. They've seen scuttling weird stuff. And they've seen these creatures in the Suffolk area for hundreds of years. Now, I recently talked to Laurie Reinfeldt, and she saw this mantis figure prior to the Rendlesham Forest incident while she was on guard duty at night. And I think that's very interesting because I think at night we as humans, our senses are heightened, and because we might be attacked by a creature. And seeing a cryptoid creature when all our senses are at their most intense kind of makes sense. Most of the sightings are at night. The other two people that I've talked to recently, who I'm hoping to share with you their story, are current sightings. These are from 2 defence workers who are working at the now demilitarised Bentwaters. They're using the hangars and the office buildings for various projects, including the headquarters for the building of Sizewell C, and they're involved in a defence contractor, and one of them saw a mantis and the other one saw a scuttling non-earthly creature in Rendlesham Forest and actually in the Bentwaters base. So they're still there. Now, why? And do the military know about it? Well, one of the most interesting things is that I have heard is that there's actual proof, physical proof, that the US military had a biology laboratory on Orford Ness. While Cobra Mist was operational, there was a lab that planted standard NIST, that's a kind of standard organization, American, plants, corn, wheat, maize, pine trees, and other plants, which are the standard measurement plants that you use in farming biology. And they put them underneath the Cobra Mist transmitting masts to see how they were obviously affected by the electromagnetic radiation from the mast or the microwaves that they were generating in giant pulses. And the only way that would have worked is that there was somewhere in the Suffolk area a biology lab looking at the effects on, in that case, of plants affected by electromagnetic and high energy physics. But does it go further? I think so. There's very, very good evidence that a gentleman called Dr. Kit Green, who's the CIA's chief medical officer, was in attendance during or immediately after the Rendlesham Forest actual incident where US service people, humans, were injured by the highly strange. Dr. Kit Green is a very interesting chap, and I actually have a personal story about him that he's probably not heard. Back in the 1980s, I was working for BBC, and the colleagues I was working with knew Markov. He was worked for the BBC World Service, Georgy Markov. And one day, my colleagues who I was working with in television said, Georgie's in hospital. He's suffering from something that might be poisoning, and he's really ill. And the next day he died, which is tragic. And it turned out that Georgy Markov was poisoned by an explosive pellet fired into his leg from an umbrella while he stood waiting for a bus on Waterloo Bridge in the middle of London, and it was originally totally mysterious what happened to him, but he probably died from some horrible poisoning, maybe polonium or something. And this Dr. Kit Green solved the case. Chief medical officer of the CIA came over, and very luckily one of the British doctors in the hospital noticed that Georgy Markov had no external injuries apart from a small red dot on his calf of his leg. And that looked like a small puncture wound, but it wasn't related to his death. Oh, well, it was. When they did an autopsy inside his leg, Markov's leg, they found this sphere, a hollow tiny sphere which contained the poison, and they think that a Soviet assassin had poked Markov with an explosive umbrella with this sphere in it that was injected into his leg, which absolutely would have killed him, and it did, very, very sadly. And it was Dr. Kit Green who solved that case, and I remember that at the time, and he was in the newspaper. Well, it turned out that Kit Green came up again when John Burroughs told me that Kit Green was interested in his case, in how Burroughs's body was affected by exposure to UAP and highly strange radiation in Rendlesham. So I knew exactly who this Kit Green was. So I think there's a history of interest in biology. But I'm beginning to go a bit further. Is it possible that Woodbridge, Bentwaters, Orford Ness, Bawdsey, Sizewell and Martlesham were located in Suffolk because of the strange occurrences that happened there? And were they actually being secretly investigated? Well, it's hard to know. I mean, if that's the case, that's a very dark thing to say, because if some agency knew about the cryptoid creatures, the thin veil, the UAP, the parallel universe that obviously exists in Suffolk, and were studying it, were the US Air Force people at Rendlesham, at Bentwaters, purposely exposed in full knowledge of some agency who knew that if humans got too close to these creatures or forces, they would be injured? I don't know, but that's always a possibility. And if so, where was the laboratory and what kind of work were they doing? Well, that's really a very interesting question, which I got a strange clue to today. So I always heard that Woodbridge was far more important and far more secret than Bentwaters as a base. And while investigating Sizewell Power Station, you'll remember I did films about how Sizewell, the world's largest nuclear power station, was built in Suffolk with no customers apart from the military. Something there needed vast amounts of power. And that's why the station was built on a very inappropriate shingle bank, costing the British government a lot of money to make it stable, and it's still very precarious. And now it continues, that site continues with Sizewell B, and now Sizewell C is proposed. But what did they use the power for? Well, while I was investigating that, I spoke to a woman who is involved in putting up substations and power lines in Suffolk. And she said that her firm was involved in putting an 11 kilowatt supply into Bentwaters, which was enough to supply the biggest base in Suffolk. I mean, at one time they had thousands of personnel there, all the things that you would need electricity for to keep people happy. But she said the strange thing was she was required to put three 11 kilowatt supplies into Woodbridge where there were no personnel. Why did Woodbridge, with no power requirements obvious, need triple redundancy or triple 11 kilowatt supplies? And she doesn't know. And she said they just were required to supply voltage power to Woodbridge from three separate substations. In case one of them was taken out, there was double redundancy or triple redundancy to Woodbridge. And I always kind of wondered what was really at Woodbridge, and could it be possibly an underground facility? So this morning, and this is why I'm bringing you this film, I read a report about the decommissioning of Woodbridge. Present, it's being used again, this time by the MOD and the Army. They built a second runway and the barracks are still being used. But a lot of the base is being decommissioned, and a large British a large British building contractor has been working on removing underground facilities at Woodbridge, specifically petrol or fuel tanks that were used for the World War II Fido system, and maybe other things. But what I'm about to say now is very interesting. In this contractor's report about removing the underground facility, they specifically mentioned how they have been paid and been working successfully removing 300 gallon fuel tanks and 1 million gallon underground tanks and underground structures. Now, hang on a minute. 1 million gallon facility. Well, what does it look like? What is the size to contain 1 million gallons of fuel? I'm sure you viewers, you'll probably know if you work in any petrochemical industry or even the water industry, 1 million gallons of liquid is a large enclosure. And so here's a picture of a tank under construction, which is sub 1 million gallons. So what does a 1 million gallon tank look like? All right. So is it possible that Woodbridge had subterranean tanks or facilities which are being removed? And if so, what did they use them for? All right. Now let's get incredibly speculative and try and piece this all together. In the 1970s, the US ran various, through the CIA funded and government, various what I can only describe as dodgy kind of projects like MK Ultra and others, biological investigations at Montauk and places like that. And they found it increasingly hard to get government funding for it, as a rather Christian biased US government who were releasing funds kind of thought that MK Ultra and other projects that the CIA were running, including remote viewing, Stargate, were anti-Christian and maybe demonic or pagan, and so a lot of the CIA funds were stopped. But the programs didn't end. What the CIA did is take them offshore. So MK Ultra moved definitely to Canada, where investigation into hallucinogenic drugs and other horrible effects on the human brain was investigated in Canadian mental hospitals. Now, I've discovered that Stargate, the remote viewing program, definitely moved to UK. Uri Geller and others were part of a project at Birkbeck College in London and at the Tavistock Clinic. And they moved to Caversham on the outskirts of Reading, where Stargate remote viewing continued. So, I mean, that's quite well known. The question is, did what they were doing at Montauk, which is far more unknown, very related to the amazingly interesting TV program Stranger Things, where Stranger Things authors based their research on another world, an upside down world, on things that may have been investigated at Montauk. Did the Montauk project move to Britain? Did the Montauk project move to Woodbridge? Were the cryptoid creatures released or part of the reason that they moved it to Woodbridge? How do I find that out? It answers a lot of questions. Suddenly you've got a reason why Rendlesham Forest incident RFI occurred, because of Suffolk, because of humans meddling with stuff, maybe at Woodbridge, the secret base with the 3 power supplies from Sizewell. Maybe the creatures that were seen have always been there, and maybe they have been under investigation by people like Dr. Kit Green and others. As I said, there's definitely biologics experiments going on. The plants that were investigated at Cobra Mist have a great story. A local Suffolk garden centre, when the Cobra Mist closed, saw that these plants were still there in plant pots around the transmitter, and said that they would go back the next day and get them and sell them for money in the garden centre. And when they returned the following day, all the plants had gone. So somebody put a lot of money and effort into removing the biological specimens. I suppose they were worried, whoever they were, that they might have shown evidence of how biology is affected by high energy. I think that's possible. And of course, the garden centre couldn't sell people things for their shrubbery. Quite a humorous story. But I don't think the cryptoid creatures are humorous, and they're definitely still there. What's going on? If you know anything about what's underneath Woodbridge, please let me know. Do you think biology experiments were part of the Rendlesham Forest incident? Were any of the CIA programs moved to the UK, as I've implied? What does Kit Green, Dr. Kit Green, Chief Medical Officer of the CIA, really know? Was he there prior to, during, or after the Rendlesham Forest incident? That's the nature of my research. I hope to bring you the modern cryptoid creature story very shortly. I'm negotiating with the people, the witnesses, and hopefully they will let me share their story publicly, maybe via an interview. It's up to them. But anyway, Happy New Year. There's lots of strange things out there that need investigating. It needs social science on YouTube, not AI slop, but real people like me in my Christmas jumper, bringing you interesting stories. If you like this, please tell YouTube by giving this film a thumbs up and subscribing, because in 2026, I really am going to expose a lot of new stuff which we all need to know about, because the truth needs to be out there.